So in this lesson, we are going to focus on a reading paper. If you're doing academic, then follow through with this, right? Now, if you're doing general IELTS, it's not necessary that you do the academic ones, but if you want to follow through, that's perfectly fine. But the academic reading papers are for the academic candidates, right? So here we're going to have a look at Test 3, Book 8. So Cambridge Book 8, Test 3. Now, I'd like you to download the paper, right, and start doing the paper. So you have 1 hour to complete it. When you finish doing it, let's have a look at the answers. So pause the video from here, do the paper. When you finish, we will have a look at the answers. Alright, so let's have a look at the answers, right? So we have Test 3 for academic reading, and here is reading passage 1, the answers, questions number 1 to 13. Please tick, make sure that the spellings are all correct, right, and there's no difference in the word. Then passage 2, questions number 14 to 26. So 14 to 18 can be in any order. So example, it means that you can have B, oops, let me just change the color. You can have C, B, J, H, F. Any combination. The letters can be in any order, but as long as you have these letters somewhere, then you can tick it. Okay? And then 19 to 26. The last reading passage, question number 27 to 40. So physical, chemistry, thermodynamics can be in either way. Thermodynamics can come on top and physical chemistry can come after that. That's fine, okay? Right, make sure you've got adapt, not adopt, okay? So if you have written this spelling completely wrong, should be adapt, okay? Alright, so I think you would have ticked the answers by now, so see how much you have, right? So if you have something like 11, it means you're not that good, okay? You might need a lot of more practice. If you have about 12 to 28, it means, okay, it's not too bad, okay? But more practice is still needed. If you have 29 above, so 30, 31, 32, then we're looking at a 7.0, 30 to 32, right? So something that you need to think about, if you're getting a score like this, we need to practice a lot, okay? Right, so we're going to have a look at striking back at lightning with lasers, right? So the main topic discussed in the text, so you can see that it is more of answer D, right? But the writer only gives, let me just put an R there. The writer only gives a little information about the effect of lighting on golfers, right? In para 1, and there's no information about the damage caused to US golf courses, and it's not the main topic, therefore it is false, right? So you can see why each answer is incorrect. So A, the damage caused to US golf courses and golf players by lightning strikers, right? So why is it wrong? Because in para 1, there's no information about the damage caused, right? Especially to US golf courses, therefore it is false. B, the effect of lightning on power supplies in the US and in Japan, right? Okay. There's only information about the damage to the US power companies, right? And there's no information about the damage to Japan, so therefore the answer is false. A variety of methods used in trying to control lightning strikers. Now, There are only two techniques to control the lightning as mentioned in the passage. One is rockets and lasers. It's not a variety, so therefore answer is false. So when you say a variety, there is a lot. But actually here, there is only two in the passage, and that is the rockets and the lasers, right? D, the laser technique is used in trying to control lightning strikes, okay? So, laser technique used controlling lightning strikes. Only in paragraphs 1, 3 and 4, they are not about the use of lasers, but the other paragraphs like the 7 paras all give information about the laser technique. Also note that the title of the passage is also about lasers, okay, striking back at lightning with the lasers. So it seems all okay there. So the answer, the most appropriate answer is D. Question number 2. According to the text, every year lightning, the answer is A. Let's have a look at why that is the answer. So, it does a considerable damage to buildings during thunderstorms, right? If you go to the first para, it refers to the problem when thunderstorms strike. The final two sentences in para 1. Now, when you are doing this, what have I told you? Always open up your paper, right? If you have a printed version, better if you are doing, paper-based IELTS. But if you are doing computer-based IELTS and you are practicing this via the soft copy, then please make sure in your pen, right, one side you have the paper opened or displayed so you can see it, and on the other side you have my video being played, okay? Because when I tell you to go to para 1 sentence 2, don't just be looking at this, oh right, okay, we are not watching, a movie. We have to make sure that you are following with me when you are doing the paper, okay? So please make sure that you have the paper in front of you, right, when you are doing this. So I have put up here the paragraph numbers so that it's easier for you to straight away go there and pinpoint where the answer is. If not, we'll just be turning here and there, scrolling up and down, but you will not be able to find the answer. Okay? The first paragraph refers to the problem when thunderstorms actually strike. The final two sentences in para 1 state, and there is damage to property too. Lightning, okay. Damage costs American power companies more than $100 million a year, okay. Which means damage to companies is more than $100 million. It's a huge amount of money. That is a considerable damage, which is true. B. Kills or injures mainly golfers in the United States, okay. In paragraph 1, the writer only mentions a long golfer may be lightning bolt's most inviting target. There is no information whether golfers and other people in the US are main victims. We don't know. Therefore, it is not given. Okay? Kills or injures around 500 people throughout the world. Now, if you go to para 1, their electrical fury inflicts deaths or serious injuries around 500 people each year in United States alone. Here it says throughout the world. We don't know. It's not given saying in the world. It says United States only. Therefore, it's false. Damages more than 100 American power companies. It says that millions of dollars go out, right? It's a loss because of these problems. but no information relating to how many companies were damaged. We don't know. It says that it caused a damage costing American power companies more than $100 million a year. But how many companies? We don't know. Therefore, the answer is not given. Right? Okay, question number 3. Researchers at the University of Florida and the University of New Mexico. So, really the answer is A. Receive funds from the same source. In paragraph 3, it states, the technique survives to this day at a test site in Florida, right, run by the University of Florida with support from the Electrical Power Research Institute. Support from means you receive funds, and when you go to para 5, it says, John Claude Diels of the University of New Mexico leads a project which is backed by EPRI. So, what is EPRI? Electrical Power Research Institute. Now, backed by means they receive funds from, okay, or backed by could also mean that they are being supported by. So, the two researchers at the University of Florida and the University of New Mexico receive funds from the same source, which is EPRI. That is true. Okay. So, I want you to be able to pinpoint these answers and understand the range, okay, the words that they have used here to bring out the same meaning. Okay. Question number B, or rather, the other answers. Now, I told you that the answer is A here, but we have to have a look at the other answers and see why are they wrong, right? Are using the same techniques, right? The technique used in the research at the University of Florida is firing rockets into thunderclouds, and the technique used in New Mexico is to use lasers to discharge the lightning, okay? Therefore, there are two different techniques clearly given to you. Therefore, the answer is false. They are employed by commercial companies. There is no information as to who employs them, so the answer is actually not given. Are in opposition to each other, okay? Neither para 3 nor para 5 say whether the scientists are in opposition. I don't know, therefore, so the answer would be not given. Okay, so the true answer would be A, right? Okay, moving on to question 4. Complete the sentences below. EPRI, you know what EPRI is. It was here, right? It's called Electrical Power Research Institute. It's the same abbreviations that continue here, right? EPRI receives financial support from. So, let's see. Receives financial support from. Who do they receive financial support from, right? In para 3 it states EPRI, which is funded by power companies. Funded means they receive financial support. So, where do they get financial support, or from who? From power companies. Okay. The P does not necessarily have to be capital, it can be simple. The advantage of the technique being developed by diesel that it can be used, right? So, the advantage of the technique being developed by Diels is that it can be used, right? Okay. In para 5, Diels is a leading project. which is backed by EPRI and to try to use lasers to discharge lightning safely. The safety is a basic requirement since no one wants to put themselves or their expensive equipment at risk, right? This means that the advantage of this technique Diels developed is that it can discharge lightning safely, right? So what does it mean? The most, or rather the advantage of this technique is that it can be used as a, what? It can be used, so therefore it can be used how? Safely, right? Because discharge lightning safely, right? And safety is a basic requirement since no one wants to put them or themselves at risk, okay? Right, question number 6. The main difficulty associated with using the laser equipment is related to its what? Okay. In paragraph 7, however, there is still a big stumbling block. The laser is no nifty portable, so it's not easy to move around or carry around. Diels is trying to cut down on the size. So what it means is that there is a difficulty in carrying or using this laser, right? Because it's not easy to move it around. So what is he trying to cut down? He's trying to cut down the size, okay? And he wants to make it smaller. So the main difficulty associated with using the laser equipment is related to its size, okay? Stumbling block means it's very difficult. No nifty portable means it's not easy to carry or to move, okay? Question number 7, right? In paragraph 6, the idea began, it says, now go to para 6 and have a look at these sentences. The idea began some 20 years ago when high-powered lasers were revealing their ability to extract electrons out of atoms to generate a line of ionization. Extract electrons out of atoms, it means that the laser is able to remove the electrons from atoms. Generate a line of ionization is to create a line of ionization, okay? This means that a laser was used to create a line of ionization by removing electrons from atoms, okay? So the answer here would be atoms. Question number 8, it's storm clouds, right? In paragraph 6, if you go there, it says, if a laser could generate a line of ionization in air all the way up to a storm cloud, it is an uncontrollable surge. This means that once the laser is able to create a line of ionization, it could then be directed at storm clouds in order to control electrical charges. Up to means directed at, guide means to control, so the answer here is storm clouds. Now you have to look at the question paper and the reading passage. It should be in front of you, as I always tell you. If not, by just looking at this, you will not be able to understand. හරි? මම හැමතිස්සෙම කියනවා වගේ තමන් ඉස්සරහ paper එක තියෙන්න ඕනේ. හරි? question එකයි paper එකයි සරින් සරයට යන ගමන් තමයි video එක review කර කර බලන්න ඕනේ. I want you to engage, right? This is a student centered learning way, right? So you should do the work, right? I'm guiding you to do it, but you should do it and follow through with the video. නැත්තම් නිකාම මම ඔක්කොම දාලා ඔයගොල්ලෝ බලන් හිටියොත් you're just watching it, right? You're not engaging with the video. You must engage with the video, then it's easy for you as well. හරි එතකොට ඕගොල්ලෝ මොන හරි දෙයක් ඉගෙන ගන්නවා. So 9, the answer is rockets. So if you go to para 4, the writer says, but while rockets are fine for research, they cannot provide the protection from lightning. So they are dangerous, okay? And if you go to para 5, the technique using lasers is mentioned as the way to discharge lightning safely. Okay? Therefore, in comparison to rockets, using laser techniques is less dangerous than using rockets in order to control electrical charges. Right? D, we talk about mirrors. Now, if you go to para 6, the writer says, right, to stop the laser itself being struck, it would not be pointed straight at the clouds. Instead, it would be directed at a mirror and from there into the sky. That means in order to protect the laser, it is firstly directed at a mirror, not pointed straight at the clouds, right? So it would not be pointed straight at the clouds, instead it would be directed at a mirror, right? So to stop the laser being struck is obviously to protect it, so the answer is D, mirrors. Question number 11 to 13, right? Power companies have given Diels enough money to develop his laser. So what are the keywords? Power companies, Diels, enough money to develop laser. Okay? Right. So these are your keywords. If you go to para 8, now you have to say is it true, false or not given, yes, no or not given, right? So power companies have given Diels enough money to develop his laser. Now let's have a look at the answers. In para 8 it says, Bernstein says that Diels system is attracting lots of interest from power companies, but have not yet come up with the $5 million that EPRI says will be needed. This means that though power companies are interested, they have not given him the money yet, which means the answer is no, they haven't, or he hasn't got enough money yet. Obtaining money to improve the lasers will depend on tests in real storms. So what are your keywords? Money, improve the lasers, depend on what? Real storms. Go to paragraph 8 and check. He reckons that the forthcoming field test will be the turning point and is hoping for good news. Bernstein predicts an avalanche of interest and support. If all goes well, right? So it means he expects to see the cloud zappers eventually costing $50,000 to $100,000 each. So this means that if the upcoming or real tests go well, right, Bernstein can obtain or get a lot of interest and support costing $50,000 to $100,000 million, right? So what do you think the answer is? Yes. Here are all the definitions of the words, right? So, obtaining money to improve lasers will depend on the tests in real storms. Yes, it will depend on that if they get this amount of money. So, the answer is true or yes. Weather forecasters are intensely interested in Diels system. Okay. So, weather forecasters interested in Diels system. So, keywords I've given you underlined as well, right? So, meteorology or weather forecasting is referred to in para 9 and 10. Diels also hopes to see birth of interactive meteorology, not just forecasting the weather but controlling it as well, right? So, he's intensely interested in Diels system, doesn't really mention it, okay? There's no information about the interest of weather forecasters in his system, so I'm not sure, I would say not given, okay? So, passage 2, the nature of genius. You have to choose from the letters A to K, right? So the answers are B, C, F, H, J, can be in any order. Most of the popular beliefs about genius and giftedness are mentioned in para 2. So if you go to A, right, truly gifted people are talented in all areas. Now in paragraph 2 it tells you, it is popularly believed that if people are talented in one area, they must be active in another. So that means they are able to be talented in all areas? Not really, okay. Sorry, they are unable to be talented in all areas? Not really, okay. Because they could be. So this is false, right. B, the talents of geniuses are soon exhausted. But let's have a look at this one, para 2. That intellectuals are impractical, that prodigies burn too brightly, too soon and burn out, right, which is true. Answer is true. They exhaust really quickly. Gifted people should use their gifts, okay. People with gifts have a responsibility to use them, so that's their gifts. Yes, it's true. A genius appears once in every generation, really not given, so we don't know about it. Genius can be easily destroyed by discouragement, again not given, so we can't take it. Genius is inherited, okay. In para 2 it states that genius runs in families. That means genius is inherited from people and their families, right. So this one here is true. Gifted people are very hard to live with. Well, it's not given again, so we don't know. People never appreciate true genius, right. That genius goes unrecognized and unrewarded. So it means like a special skill, right. So it's sometimes unrecognized, unrewarded. That means they are not appreciated by other people. So that is fairly true, I would say, looking at the reading passage. These are not my personal views. You have to check that with the reading passage. So you've got the correct answers as B, C, F, H and G, okay. Right. So moving on, we have a look at questions number 19 to 26. So let's have a look at question number 19. 19th century studies of the nature of genius failed to take into account the uniqueness of the person's upbringing, right. So what are the keywords? 19th century studies, nature of genius, failed, take into account uniqueness of person's upbringing, okay. In para 3, however, it says, the difficulty with the evidence produced by these studies, fascinating as they are in collecting together anecdotes, those are stories, right, and apparent similarities and exceptions, is that they are not what we would call as norm referenced, right. So here the answer is true. Why is it true, right? Because it states that in the 19th century, right, it was taken into account the uniqueness of the person's upbringing, norm referenced, clearly given to you there, okay. So the uniqueness of the person's upbringing is information about the common or exceptional ways. Right, moving on into the 20th question. 19th century studies of genius lacked both objectivity and proper scientific approach. If you go to the last sentence in para 3, it tells you, it was only with the growth of pediatrics and psychology in the 20th century that studies could be carried out on a more objective, if not always very scientific basis. So very clearly given to you. This means that in the 19th century that the studies could not be conducted using a scientific approach and an objective approach, right? So the answer is true, okay? Alright, 21. A true genius has general powers capable of excellence in any area. Any area, okay? In paragraph 4, right, the writer notes the idea of Dr. Johnston. The true genius is a mind of large general powers, accidentally determined to a particular direction. Particular. Does it mean any area? No, just specific. So the answer is false. The skills of ordinary individuals are in essence the same as the skills of prodigies. Okay. So keywords, skills of ordinary individuals, same as the skills of prodigies. Okay. If you go to paragraph 5, it says, the achievement of prodigies are the manifestations of skills or abilities which are similar to but also much superior to our own. Similar but also superior. The skills of ordinary individuals are in the essence the same as the skills of prodigies. Yeah, okay. So it says this means that the skills of prodigies are similar to those of ordinary people, but their achievements are much greater. Okay. So answer would be definitely true. Question number 23. The ease with which truly great ideas are accepted and taken for granted fails to lessen their significance. Okay, fails to lessen their significance. So truly great ideas accepted, taken for granted, fails, lessen their significance are going to be your keywords. Okay. If you go to paragraph 5, the writer says, the hard-won discoveries of scientists like Kepler or Einstein become the commonplace or commonplace knowledge for school children, and the colors of an artist like Paul Klee so soon appear on the fabrics we wear. Okay. So what does it say? The ease with which truly great ideas are accepted, are taken for granted, fails to lessen their significance, right? So great ideas, hard-won discoveries are accepted for granted means even school children learn them. However, the importance of these ideas is not lessened or reduced. Okay, lessen means to minimize. Therefore, I would say the answer is true with the understanding. Okay. How do you understand? By reading it. I've put up for you the areas that you can pick up on to rather read and understand. Okay. So you should be able to find the answer, read it and understand, okay, what is this talking about? If you can't follow through, I suggest we kind of give some time, take the dictionary, go through the words, look at the meaning carefully. Okay. 24. Giftedness and genius deserve proper scientific research into their true nature so that all talent may be retained for the human race. Okay. Giftedness and genius deserve scientific research, true nature, talent retained for the human race. Okay. In the passage, there is no reference to scientific research relating to what genius really is in order for all talent to be retained. In fact, in the last paragraph, the writer tells us that genius and giftedness are relative descriptive terms of no real substance, right? So we don't really know about it. It doesn't tell us, right? It says there's no real substance, right? But maybe retained for human race, we don't really know about it. So the answer is not given, right? Question number 25. Geniuses often pay a high price to achieve greatness. Geniuses pay high price, achieve greatness, okay? Para 6. We may envy their achievements and fame, but we should also recognize the price they may have paid in terms of perseverance, single-mindedness to make their way to the top. This means that we may feel jealous because some geniuses become famous. However, they did not achieve this fame without a lot of hard work and determination to succeed, right? So geniuses often pay a high price to achieve, yes, okay. They can't come up with it without any hard work. Without a lot of hard work and determination, they can't achieve this fame. So that is definitely true. Next one. To be a genius is worth the high personal cost. Well, let's read this in para 6. The writer only mentions the high price that geniuses may have paid to gain success. We don't know whether it is referring to their personal cost, to be honest. So therefore, I would say the answer is not given. Passage 3, we have a look at how does the biological clock tick. Okay. Question number 27, the answer is in paragraph B, right? Let's have a look at it. The writer explains that aging of objects must occur according to the laws of physical chemistry and of the thermodynamics. Although the same law holds for a living organism, the result of this law is not in the same way. Biological system has ability to renew itself. It could actually become older without aging. The difference in aging of objects and living organisms is that aging of objects must occur according to the laws of physical chemistry and of thermodynamics, right? So the reason is that the material of which the organism is formed changes continuously. So I think it should be number 9, fundamental differences of aging of objects and organisms. That should be the heading for para B. Okay. For para C, the writer states, a restricted lifespan, aging and then death are basic characteristics of life. The reason is that in nature, the existent organisms either adapt or they are regularly replaced by new types. It needs room for new and better life. That means when an organism dies, it is replaced by new types because of the changes in the genetical material. And they have new characteristics, and in the course of their individual lives, they are tested for optimal or better adaptation to the environmental conditions, right? So therefore, the answer for para 2, the answer is 2, why dying is beneficial, right? Paragraph D, okay, it states that although more and more people attain an advanced age as a result of developments in medical care and better nutrients or nutrition, the characteristic upper limit for most remains 80 years. Okay. So that means despite all the improvement and all the development, right, the stable lifespan is still at 80. So a stable lifespan despite improvement. So the answer should be 7. Okay. Moving on, question number 30, paragraph E. Okay. So here, if a lifespan is genetically determined biological characteristics, it is logically necessary to propose the existence of the internal clock, okay, which in some way measures and controls the aging process and which finally determines the death as the last step in a fixed program, right. So basically it's talking about the biological clock. So I would say number 1, internal clock means biological clock. 31, para F, okay. The main idea is that it's, the effect of energy consumption on lifespan. So I would definitely take that as 8, energy consumption. Okay. Paragraph G, it follows from the above that sparing use of energy reserves should tend to extend life. This means that using less energy can extend or prolong life. So it means prolonging your life. So that would mean number 4. Questions number 33 to 36. Okay. Objects age in accordance with principles of something and something. Okay. So if you go to para B, it states, aging in this case must occur according to the laws of physical chemistry and thermodynamics. So it should be physical chemistry and thermodynamics, or it could be either way. 35, because here 33 and 34 are together, right? Through mutations, organisms can blend better to the environment. If you go to para C, it says, because of changes in the genetic material, or rather mutations, these means organisms have new characteristics and in the course of their individual lives are tested for the optimal or better adaptation to the environment conditions. So through the mutations, and organisms can be what? Tested as to how it changes or adapts to the environment. Okay. So organisms can adapt better to the environment. So the key word should be, or the answer should be, adapt. 36. Blank would pose a serious problem for the theory of evolution. So what is it? Immortality would disturb this system. Disturb means there's a serious problem. So what is the word immortality? Right? 37 to 40. The wear and tear theory applies to both artificial objects and biological systems, right? So if you come to para A, in this system, we think of artificially produced technical objects, that is artificial objects, products which are subject to natural wear and tear during use, right? So therefore, it talks more into this. Please have a look at it. In the last sentence also the writer raises a question. But this wear and tear and loss of function of technical objects and the death of living organisms are really similar or comparable. Okay. So what is the question telling you? That the wear and tear theory apply both artificial as well as the biological systems? No, it doesn't. Okay. So it's mainly what? To the biological systems and not to the artificial objects, right? Okay, so let's have a look at the next question. So answer is no. 38. In principle, it is possible for a biological system to become older without aging. If you come to para B, at least as long as a biological system has the ability to renew itself, it could actually become older without aging. So the answer is true, right? 39. Within 7 years, about 90% of the human body is replaced as new. Well, there's no information saying relating to kind of 7 years, right, or 90%, so we don't really know, not given. And the last question, conserving energy may help to extend humans' life, right? If you go to para G, they tell you, it follows from the above that sparing use of energy reserves should tend to extend life, which means obviously saving energy can help people live longer. So the answer is yes. So with that, we have come to the end of the discussion for all 40 questions, right? And that was for Cambridge Book 8, Test 3.